Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates, and today we'll be talking about a classic tale that's been Del Torofied. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, no, I say that's the proper term.
Yeah,
Like with Evangelion and Pacific Rim, that was the Del Toro-fied.
yeah. We are
Yeah,
talking about, as you've seen in the title and thumbnail, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Uh, and like how, how Disney fairy tales are always derived from something a bit more darker, a bit more edgier, I would say. Well, this is that. This is Pinocchio in its truest form. There's just
yeah.
one character here that's never been mentioned in any of the adaptations of Pinocchio until now, and that is one of the most infamous dictators of the 20th century, Benito.
Mussolini.
Yeah,
I love it. I was like, cause like they established what year it was,
yeah,
and how long. Sorry, where the timeline will lead.
yeah,
And we are thrown into 1916, World War One, 2 years before World War One ended.
yeah. Like right away, you hear the story from Sebastian the Cricket, who's voiced by Ewan McGregor, about
Yes.
Geppetto and his son Carlo, and you're like, how long will it take until your heart shatters? Well, not long.
I really wonder. I was like, because in the original one, I'm not talking about like the grim-tailed ones. I'm talking about the Disney one, where Geppetto just wanted a kid,
Yeah,
and he just wanted something just to represent a kid. Man just didn't know human biology and just didn't go out there and just touch grass.
yeah,
Man just made a wooden child, and thus making him live. And then here we are with Pinocchio.
yeah,
But with Guillermo del Toro, man just wanted us to experience tragedy.
yeah, and like less than in like 15 minutes you establish a bond between Geppetto and Carlo, and you feel for them, and you dread once the shoe gonna drop, and it drops like a motherfucker.
Like a bomb.
Like Geppetto explains, like their town wasn't even a target. The Allies were just unloading their bombs to
I
make the
don't know
planes
if it was
safer.
allies. Was it allies? I could no. They didn't specify if it was Italian planes,
Planes.
or British planes.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah, so it said that an air raid was coming back home, and they just had a little extra weight,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Let's just drop it."
yeah,
I don't blame them because it was World War One, and you can't see shit from the plane.
yeah,
So they didn't know that they were gonna drop it on a village.
yeah.
I'll give it.
And that's how Geppetto loses Carlo. You're like, well, this sets the tone pretty quickly.
I will say I didn't like Carlo. I know that he is the representation of Pinocchio, or Pinocchio is the representation of Carlo. But by the way, Carlo is the name of the creator of Pinocchio.
Yeah,
If y'all didn't know, Carlo Collodi or something like
yeah,
that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so they kind of sneaked his name into it, making him the son of Geppetto. Fun fact.
yeah,
But yeah, boy gets blown up.
yeah,
I did not expect this. Where this kid was like, "Oh, my perfect pine cone," because his father taught him the ways of once you cut down a tree, you gotta plant another seed. Like it's a give and take.
yeah,
He finds a perfect pine cone to plant, and then it blows up. The church blows up,
yeah,
and you just see a grieving Geppetto.
yeah. Who I forgot to mention is voiced by David Bradley. If you don't know who that
Mhm.
is, he is the guy responsible for the Red Wedding.
Mm. Look, I am just glad that he's more than just Harry Potter's janitor.
Yeah,
Because this guy's fucking amazing.
yeah. And then you get to meet Sebastian the Cricket, who is a writer. He's a traveler. He's had a life, and he settles down in the tree of Carlo, where unfortunately Geppetto decides to cut it down and make it into Pinocchio. And
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian says there are spirits in the forest and the woods, and once in a while they do meddle with mankind, and that comes in the, I forgot her name, but she is voiced by Kate Blanchett.
No, if I remember, Kate Blanchett she voiced the monkey.
No, there's no voice there.
But there's a voice. There's a voice actress for the monkey. Wait, give me a second.
Well, then if that's the case, she's both. I think she is both the monkey and the spirit.
I gotta be specific with the whole Pinocchio thing because there's this really good one and there's this shitty one.
Yeah, like the live action Disney version that we barely touched because we were like, from the start, we were like, that doesn't look good at all.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sorry, I'm just looking at the cast because I really want to prove Enzo wrong here.
I think she is both the monkey and
no, but yeah,
spirit.
but she is Pastrura. Pastrura?
I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
Okay, whatever. She was the monkey.
Yeah, she
but
looks after little things.
Tilda Swinton was the wood spirit.
Yeah, she was dead.
Oh, I'm guessing the other one was okay. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and she feels bad for Geppetto and wants to bring joy back into his life and tells Sebastian Cricket, like, hey, if you're so concerned about your house, how about this? If you teach this boy to be good, I'll give you one wish. He's like, deal. I'll teach him to be good. I'll do the best that I can do, and that's all that we can ever do. You're like, that's a smart saying, and I fully live up to that.
Yeah, it's a saying throughout the movie that I really like. Is that like the best? Like, we'll do our best because that's the best that we can do.
Yeah.
And if we're not able to deliver to your standards, that's just us. Kind of way of thinking. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
It does go throughout this movie, and you see themes of it a lot.
Yeah. And then, like, Pinocchio's brought to life, and I love the genuine reaction of Geppetto seeing this wooden boy just crawl around. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to be?
Right? Like him with the axe.
Yes.
By the way, this is a very adult story.
Yeah.
Geppetto making Pinocchio, the man was in a drunken stupor because he's been in grief for like how many decades? Because once we get to the timeline where Pinocchio comes along, World War II started.
Yeah.
So this was a while.
Yeah. And then he freaks out, but eventually he realizes, like, I guess he's here for a reason. But you stay here. I'll go to church. You don't follow me, please. And then Sebastian, like, Pinocchio really wants to follow Geppetto, and Sebastian's like, no. And he starts to sing his song. Then Pinocchio just crushes him. Like, oh my god.
But I gotta say, Jiminy Cricket here just got the bad end of the stick. Like, I feel so bad.
I died.
That's one of my gripes about this movie too. Is that Jiminy Cricket didn't really have much of an impact, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's not Jiminy Cricket. He's Sebastian Cricket.
Sebastian Cricket. Well, Sebastian Vettel here didn't really have much of an impact.
I died though when he's like, my father, bang. You're like, oh my god, Disney.
Yeah, every time he would have a song coming up, he would get cut off. And I was like, I kind of want to hear his song.
Yeah, you're like, I know Ewan McGregor can sing. I kind of want to hear the rest of this.
I've watched Moulin Rouge God knows how many times.
Yeah. Pinocchio follows Geppetto to the church, and of course, the church members are like, what sorcery is this? Jesus Christ. And even the priest is like, you made time to make this witchcraft, but not finish the cross. Alright, I see how it is. Fuck you.
What the fuck? Yeah, like, the church isn't really in the best state after a bomb hit it.
Yeah.
But yeah. And, oh god,
yeah, you meet Podesta, voiced by
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
I was like, well, Guillermo del Toro, like, he's kind of like a lot of directors with Christopher Nolan, like, likes to reuse reoccurring characters.
You mean actors?
I'm sorry, actors like Ron Perlman, Bern Gorman from Pacific Rim. I don't know if he ever worked with Christoph Waltz on anything yet.
No, this is his first collaboration. Pretty good, too.
Pretty good, yeah.
But yeah, Podesta, and he has a son named Candlewick, voiced by voiced by
by
Finn
Finn
Wolfhard.
Wolfhard. Yeah. I didn't notice at first. I thought I was like, Stranger Things?
Yeah, and then like later that night, the priest and Podesta come to his place, and they're like, "Your boy is kind of disobedient. He should be a obedient fascist boy." You're like, "Excuse me?" Like again, this is something you never see in Pinocchio. I don't think Disney will ever do this.
Right? I was like, finally, a good narrative.
Yeah.
Like, something compelling. Like, you never thought Pinocchio and World War II. You
Yeah.
never thought that those things would go well together.
Yeah, like it also it's always shocking because like when he's following Geppetto to church, you see like this big mural of Mussolini. You're like, "Oh my god, right?"
Forgot.
And it's,
This place was a little fashy.
and like Candlewick
Candlewick.
convinces Pinocchio like, "Hey, go closer to the fire, you'll feel better." And he's just like, "Father, look, my feet are on fire. It's hot." And he's like, oh shit, I don't want him to die.
Pinocchio's okay. I will be honest. Pinocchio's character was a little bit unbearable for me at first.
Yeah,
At first, he was a very optimistic kind of child, and he likes to sing and dance. And he's a kid. Like when he wanted hot chocolate, he started to like scream and do a tantrum. And I was like,
I want it now,
child.
please.
No, he didn't even say please. He just said, "I wanted it," and he was
I
screaming.
want chocolate.
Yeah, because everybody else was getting hot chocolate,
Yeah,
and I get it. He didn't want to be left out.
yeah,
But bit by bit, I was like, Pinocchio's character, like as creepy as it is, it started to look cute.
yeah,
Like I was like, oddly enough, I was like, this thing looks terrifying.
yeah,
And then it was hitting that like odd, uncanny valley of like, it's freaky, but kind of cute, like a pug.
yeah,
Cute, but it's kind of ugly.
yeah. And like Podesta tells Geppetto like he's gonna go to school, or he's gonna learn discipline and obey, and that will make him a model citizen. We're like, all right, we're
Yeah.
settled. And then the next day, Geppetto gives him new feet, and they go to town, and he sees the carnivals in town, and that's when he sees the monkey, and the monkey's like, a puppet's walking by itself. Huh. Goes back to
Yeah.
Velope, who's voiced by Christoph Waltz, and he does a musical number of being back on top as the Carnival King. And you forget, like, I forgot, like, or like, I never knew I signed up for a musical as well. Or, like, I didn't know this was a musical, but I'll take it.
Yeah. The musical number here, like the score and the writing for the music, really good. Like, yes, it's not today's standards of like, hey, that's sick.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's very creative.
Yeah.
And Pinocchio would always have a unique number.
Yeah.
It never followed the rhythm, in my opinion, like his songs.
Yeah.
But it still was like, yeah, it's a song. And it's still nice, oddly enough. The song structure is odd, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
And then going back to the church, like, Pinocchio asks Geppetto, like, the guy on the cross is made out of wood. Why do people like him and not me? And I thought we're gonna get real existential here, but no, he's like, well, people are afraid of what they don't understand, which is a time-old lesson. You're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was actually expecting like Geppetto just to be like, well, here's a brief history lesson on Jesus. No. He just showed like men sometimes are scared of things they don't understand. Yeah, as Enzo said.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, thank you. But you did make it a little bit preachy.
Yeah, for a brief moment, we're like, where's this going?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
it was that moment I was like, is it gonna make or break? I'm
Yeah.
not saying that talking about religion is a bad thing. It's just when movies do it, they just tend to kind of kill the story because they had to do it.
Yeah. But on his way to school, that's where he meets Velope, who convinces him to join the carnival, and he convinces him to sign the contract with a sun with a smile. And we're like, sure, I guess. In this time of the century, legality is not a big thing.
I feel like you could have just burned that contract, or ripped it up and been like, what contract? Because there was no photocopiers back then.
And then he goes to the carnival and he amuses the children. Well, because Sebastian tried to stop him, but he's pinned under Carlos' book.
Yeah, this is the part where it starts to deviate from the original story. Well, besides the bomb.
Besides the bomb, the war, Mussolini.
The war, Mussolini. Anyway, this is the part where it kind of felt normal, felt familiar, and then it just like did a whole different story.
Yeah.
So same concept same story with Pinocchio was supposed to go to school and be a normal boy, and then he goes somewhere else. He goes to the carnival. This is the part where it gets different, where Count how do you say his name?
Volpe.
Volpe pretty much persuades him or cons him into writing a contract where if he wanted to leave, somebody had to pay him 10 million, whatever the currency was in Italy.
Yeah. And then Geppetto confronts him and Pinocchio does the lie. And then his nose starts to grow. And then, but like, this is where the story also deviates where Volpe and Geppetto have a tug of war with Pinocchio. And then they let go of Pinocchio and he's run over by Podesta. You're like, this movie's going directions I never thought any Pinocchio movie would.
Yeah, this is Pinocchio's first death.
Yeah.
I love this concept so much where they didn't delve in too deep with it, but it was used enough to be like, this was tastefully done. So we met the Angel of Life, I'm guessing. The one that brought the... By the way, the design of the angels, that is messed up.
You're like, an angel. Ah!
Yeah, you know, you're like, oh, you would think the pretty lady from the Disney version of Pinocchio. No, the shit that the Bible describes what an angel looks like. The one with eyes on the wings, and it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
All that's missing is the wheel with the eyes and shit, and there's a light in the middle of it.
Look at me. You're like, I'm so scared. I can't. But no.
Do you remember that one claymation episode of like this kid show where they showed Satan and he showed like the life of like it was on YouTube, like it's a scary, like it's a freaky episode of a kid's show.
Yeah.
This is what it reminded me of. Every time they showed the afterlife and the angels of life and angel of death, it reminded me of that, and I loved it. The angel of death, I think, is voiced by Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So the concept here is Pinocchio can die as much as he wants, but every time he dies, his stay in this area with this freaky chimera angel thing, it gets longer. So when his first death, it just took probably 10 seconds.
Yeah. And
as it goes on, it gets longer and longer if he keeps dying.
And the lesson is like, he's at first happy that he can die over and over again, but just like that means he'll never be a real boy. Because what makes life precious and brings it meaning is how short it is, and you'll never experience that. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and he never got to answer that. Got to ask that question.
Yeah.
I don't think. Where he's like, I have a question for you. Then he starts to sink, and you never hear it.
You're like, the movie's like, all right, that's enough existential shit right now. You're like, okay.
Really? Really? Because once he wakes up, he's like getting drafted to war.
Or convinced, like, Volopper's like, he signed a contract with a happy son, and Podesta at the same time is like, he's the perfect soldier, and Geppetto's like, I think we're done for today. No.
He has a duty to the country. Yeah, Geppetto and him just leave the hospital. I love Walter. He was like, he's gone stiff. He was like, he's made out of wood. He's always been stiff.
And then their conversation in the woods again hits like heavy themes when like you think Pinocchio's just disobedient because he's like a little shit. He's just a kid. But he's like, why do we have to obey when we don't even know what we're obeying for? And Geppetto's like, because we just have to. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, like, law's the law. We have to follow it whether if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
That is like another existential shit. And Pinocchio's just like, shit. Well, now Geppetto is in debt, and he also has to give his son to the government.
Yeah.
And that kind of breaks Geppetto for a second, where he's like, why do you have to be such a burden?
Yeah.
No kid wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, they hit us home with that one. Where we're like,
Yeah.
no parent should ever say this to a child, even if they are made out of wood.
Yeah, like, because early on, Sebastian explains to Pinocchio, like, a burden is something painful that someone carries, but they have to, with, like, Carlos' death. And Pinocchio associates burden with pain. And when Geppetto calls him that, you're like, fuck, Geppetto, why do you have to say that? Like, he's a kid.
And Pinocchio, oh, well, I love it that Sebastian kind of, like, tries to, like, I guess reconcile.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word. Pinocchio, where, hey, your dad is just saying things in the moment, but later on he's pretty much gonna take it back.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Like he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't really truly mean.
Yeah.
But Pinocchio's like, wait, I got an idea. How about so I don't become a burden? And this is very close to home. I'll go work, earn money, send it back to my father. Wow, this sounds very familiar.
You're like, I really didn't know what I was signing up for. I just thought, Pinocchio. Oh my god.
OFW pala si Pinocchio.
And yeah, he does the contract and he does what he's supposed to do. Meanwhile, Velope is earning money, but Geppetto finds the note and tries to look for him in the old place, and Sebastian's like, can't you see this boy loves you with all his heart? Why can't you do the same?
I love that dialogue, but again, I don't like it that they're cutting Sebastian off.
Yeah.
This was a really good dialogue where he's scolding Geppetto for being an idiot, for expecting him to be Carlo, but he isn't.
Yeah.
It was a good piece of dialogue that they cut short for comedic timing.
Yeah, like I don't know what Sebastian is. Is he the mentor or is he just comic relief?
Yeah, like he's supposed to be the conscience, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes he's not able to talk, which for me is such a waste because he's voiced by an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Playing a pivotal role in the Pinocchio story, and they underutilized it.
Yeah. So Geppetto sets up to find Pinocchio. Meanwhile, like Pinocchio's performing, and then he eventually gets to a number where you're like, "Oh my, oh no!" You're like, "Oh my, Pinocchio's part of Mussolini's propaganda machine now."
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, did they use Pinocchio's Axis propaganda? Oh my god!
And you see, Velope is also a major believer in Mussolini. You're like, fuck.
Hey man, it was a time. A lot of people believed in Mussolini.
Yeah. Like, but your heart sinks because you're like, well, this man truly is crazy for believing in such belief. But like, they sail off to the last destination where they're going to perform for Mussolini, and you can't mess this up. Meanwhile,
By the way, oh sorry. Yeah, okay, you're getting to it.
Yeah, Geppetto finds his captain and convinces him with all the money in the world to look for Pinocchio on the other side of the Gulf. And then Sebastian tries to cheer Geppetto up by doing his song. He's like, my father. And like, as he's singing, Geppetto sees like this Leviathan creature, and the captain just like, arrivederci. Like, what?
I think that guy was the one voiced by John Turturro?
Toro?
Turturro? Sorry, I had to start trying to say his last name.
That was so funny.
John Turturro.
What the fuck? The guy was just like, peace.
Yeah, he was like, arrivederci. Once he saw that thing, I was like, I love this movie.
I was like,
So
you know what?
fucking-
I'd probably do the same thing. And I was like, bye. I'm not dealing with that shit.
And like, I love it that they didn't stick with the whale look. It looked like an anglerfish.
Yeah.
That was an island on top. It was disgusting. If you've seen fishes from not Misadventures, I think so. Misadventures of Flapjack.
Hmm.
Wait, no, I think that's around. Anyway, Flapjack. That's what this thing looks like.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what's scarier, the original whale from Pinocchio or this. Like, fuck.
No, the original whale had character. It smiled. This thing was
Soulless.
just soulless, deadpan, gigantic fish in the sea. I don't like that.
Yeah. And like, with all the stop motion, you're like, it looks so cool, but oh my god.
Oh my god, I forgot this thing was stop motion.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it at times. You're like, you had to wake up, like, right. It's stop motion. It's just so seamless, too. Like, I like it.
It just looks like somebody went into, like, just digitally animated this, but it wasn't. For sure, some scenes were, but this wasn't. I think this is done by Jim Henson Studios, which is like
Puppets.
a puppeteering. Yeah. And they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Guillermo del Toro, please do more stop motion movies. I would
Yeah.
love to see more of this shit.
Like, just the detail on Sebastian, you're like, I kind of don't want to touch him. Because it looks gross. Because, like, you're used to the Disney shit. You're like, oh, it's Geppetto. Oh, sorry, Jiminy Cricket. He's adorable. But, like, you see this, you're like, I like you. But please don't land on me. I don't want to...
From a distance.
Yeah.
Okay, no, to be honest, if a cricket talked and sounded like Ewan McGregor, I wouldn't mind it.
Even McGregor, sure. I'm like, alright.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the monkey tries to convince Pinocchio, like, hey, Volpe is taking advantage of you, stealing money, and he's like, no, he doesn't. And Volpe hears this, and he straight up animal abuses the monkey. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah. Again, this movie's not meant for children.
Or like
you
children
straight
of
up
a certain
see him
age.
beating the shit out of the monkey.
Yeah. Like maybe when they're 15, 14, you're like, you can watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if but you're gonna be like a '90s kid who like watched fucked up shit from like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, and you're like, remember that shit? I can't believe that flew over my head.
And then
No, nuts.
Pinocchio's like, I will not work unless my coworker is treated equally right. You're like, oh, Pinocchio's ahead of his time. But Volpe's like, no, I am the master, you are the slave. You will work until your body rots, and I use you for my furnace. You're like, fuck. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, that ends the relationship between you two.
And then you see a long limo carrying Benito Mussolini, who's voiced by Tom Kenny. Yeah, SpongeBob. If you guys didn't know, that is SpongeBob voicing.
I love it that he only had like 2 lines.
I like puppets.
I like puppets. I don't like these puppets. Shoot them.
Yeah, and then Pinocchio tells the monkey, like, let's put on a show that Mussolini will never forget. And he just calls him a big poopy head. You're like, he could call you worse. But at the same time, he's like, Mussolini's ego is like, how dare he question me or make fun of me? Shoot the puppet. You're like, shoot the puppet.
Shoot the puppet. Well, makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be like, this thing's supposed to be alive, right?
Yeah.
Kill it. Kill it now. Well, I love it that the design for Mussolini it's just this really short person. So like,
somehow
you can tell that he had a Napoleon complex kind of deal.
Yeah, somehow captures all his complexions too. Because when you look at this and then you look at the real videos or the pictures, you're like, yeah, that is exact. Fuck.
Yeah, it's that far off. Man looks tall in photos.
Yeah.
After you see him standing next to somebody. Fuck you, Mussolini. Sorry. No, not sorry.
And like just the mindset of like, all right, he's going against the propaganda machine. They must be eliminated.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And Volpe loses everything because of it.
Yeah.
Because the dumbass was like, I made a special number for you.
And there it is.
Yeah, and there it is. After him being shot, we see before we saw him get shot, we see that Podesta and his kid kind of like were in the crowd.
Yeah.
So once Pinocchio got killed again, and he got transported to, I guess, purgatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any special, like,
Yeah.
very key important dialogue that
Death puts the fear of mortality because he's like, all right, I just have to wait. I can't wait to see my papa again. She's like, are you sure you're gonna see him again? Because the other half of this deal is, you will live forever, but your loved ones won't. And Pinocchio's just like, this is just getting worse every time.
Yep, man's. She even said the whole what was it? Life. Or sorry, a long life has long suffering or something like that, and eternal life has eternal suffering.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And I was like, shit. How old is Pinocchio?
Like,
how old is he supposed to be?
Does my kid have to be to watch this? Because I feel like 15 is the safest number.
I'd say 20. I don't want these kids questioning life at that like in puberty, mid puberty, and just being like, "Fuck, does life mean anything?"
Yeah. Like we see, obviously Geppetto and Sebastian are alive and they're fishing in the whale, the mouth of whatever creature it is. Podesta takes Pinocchio to the training grounds where they train the youth, and they're like, this must be the end of the world because they're using children to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Podesta's like, we will give our life for the fatherland. Who here is afraid of death? And Pinocchio's just like, oh shit, no one.
Right. Oh fuck. Well, man died like twice.
And then,
but he does make friends with Candle.
yeah, they have a conversation which is really meaningful about life and death and war. You're like, again, wow, you just sit down and you're like, Pinocchio. There's a Pinocchio movie. This is the second one this year. I'll check this one out. And then you leave like, I need to question life.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you could see that this kid was blinded by propaganda. His father being, I'm guessing, a general within the army, and him being enlisted into it. And he just wants to get his father's approval the whole time. And Pinocchio gives him this spiel of like, not spiel, but he gives him a word of advice that no matter what, your father still loves you.
Yeah.
Whether if you, like, what was it? If you bear arms or you're a coward,
yeah,
you would still love your son. I forgot.
Basically, tells him what Sebastian told him. It's like, your father says things, but in the end, he loves you. He doesn't mean it. And you see, like, kind of like questioning life, like.
Yeah, he's like tearing up.
Yeah.
In the bed. And I do like that they established a relationship, even though it's such a short time.
Yeah. And then the next day they engage in like a drill where they had to put their flags of their team before the opposing team. And like during the exercise, like with the sound mixing, like at one point you're like, no, the paint guns do sound like actual guns.
Yep. It doesn't help that the kids who get shot just like slump over like real dead bodies. I was like, what the fuck?
Like one kid gets shot in the head and he's just like, you're like, oh man, I hope that doesn't jinx your future.
Yeah. By the way, they even said before the training that there is going to be an air raid, but we don't fear it because for the fatherland, right?
Yeah.
Blind patriotism.
Yeah. And then both Candlewick and Pinocchio win with a tie, and Podesta's like, all right, shoot the puppet. And then, like, for the first time in his life, Candlewick stands up to his father, but it backfires. She's like, yeah, I don't think your dad does love you as much as he loves the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such a sad scene to see that, like, two kids who are like, they came to an agreement, and they both said, we're both winners. It kind of says a lot about war, huh?
Yeah.
Like, it was nobody, like, can we just shake on it and just be like, let's stop fighting?
But his dad, is about to kill Pinocchio when the air raid happens, and he's like, Candlewick shoots him in the face, and he's trapped in the neck, and then
With a paintball gun, by the way.
yeah. No, they don't go that gruesome, thankfully.
Yeah.
But they do drop a bomb, which sends Pinocchio flying, and
Yeah.
they're like, does that mean Candlewick dies?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But like you could see that one of the soldiers were just putting gas masks on kids and giving them a rifle and just tossing them out.
Yeah.
When you heard the air raid happening. But yeah, the ship blows up. Podesta dies. Candlewick survives, thank God. But he tries to look for Pinocchio. Pinocchio got launched somewhere at the edge of the island. And that's where he runs into Count
Volope.
Volope. My bad. I don't know why I can't say when you have the three letters VOL. I like to put the V and the L together instead of
You gotta give it an Italian flair. Volope.
Volope.
But yeah, he's mad because Pinocchio cost him everything. And he's literally about to burn him at the stake. You're like, this movie already sets a tone. Am I gonna see Pinocchio die like a witch? Probably.
He'll
No.
come back as ashes.
Yeah.
They didn't explain that, by the way. They said you don't always bring Pinocchio back. What happens if he was burned?
Like, after he shot, I'm like, where was he shot though?
Right? There's no bullet.
Yeah. I guess.
For some reason, at the ending, where he comes back, he didn't have his arm and leg.
Right? I guess Netflix was like, you know what, Guillermo? Showing a puppet with a massive head trap is too much.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a scene where he almost gets burnt alive, but Zapatura.
Again, the flare.
Zapatura. Spazatura. There we go. That's a borrow. The Spazatura finally stands up to say the name. Say the name, but I can't with these Italian words.
Volope, they both fall, and you hear Volope's that on the rocks. You're like, oh shit!
Here, we didn't just hear.
He's here, and
the camera's panning down. You see the rock just whack.
You just see his body just go. Fuck this movie.
I was so scared that Spazzatura was also just gonna be with him, as a self-sacrifice kind of deal.
Yeah.
Thank God that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, they both get plunged into the sea, and they're both kind of castaways, and they see a little island. I was like, finally, land home.
Before that, it's a bird that lands on a sea mine. You're like,
I see.
I'm like, where? Oh, it's a bird. Oh my god.
I don't think it works that way. I don't think a bird's heavy enough to make it go wonk and then just blows up. I love that play though. Italy was surrounded by sea mines around that time.
Yeah.
In World War II.
And then they're swallowed by the Leviathan, but Pinocchio, Geppetto, and Sebastian are reunited. You're like, how are they going to escape this? And they kind of do a play on Pinocchio's lie. We're like, no, Pinocchio, keep lying so we can escape through the beast's nostril.
Yeah. The scene in the whale or the whale was very short-lived. Once they got there, they were able to get out right away. While in the Disney version, they were stuck there for a while. That was a big part of the movie, and they had to do the whole fire thing and make the thing sneeze. Here, it was a little bit more creative. Where he's like, I don't love you, Dad. And I don't love you, Sebastian. And then his
You're not my dad.
You ain't my dad.
And then at one point Geppetto and Pinocchio fall. You're like, please don't be shocked here. And that's the end of the movie. No, but the air brings them up from the beast nostril.
Look, I was expecting Geppetto just to pull a Gwen Stacy and just snap his neck on the way down.
Yeah, because again, right from the start, you see the tone of the movie. You're like, I don't like any of the situations they're in. And once they escape, There's still round 2 with the beach. You're like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but Pinocchio. I was like, Pinocchio, please stop playing with that landmine. I get it, it floats, but no. But yeah, like Pinocchio finds refuge on a landmine, and he goes every like the triggers around it.
Yeah.
He keeps going over it and gives me anxiety. But the whale sees it and pretty much doesn't dive on him. So there's a mine inside of the whale. And by the way, we see the scale of this thing.
Yeah.
The fact that like Pinocchio's like probably half the size of a tooth. That thing's huge.
Yeah. And then he's about to swallow Geppetto and Sebastian the monkey again. But Pinocchio is able to, in time, hit the detonation, and the whale explodes, but it sends Geppetto far, and he's drowning, and Pinocchio in purgatory is begging death, like, please let me save my father. He's like, if you go at this time, you will become mortal. This will be your last life. And then that's the point where your heart sinks. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And he agrees, like, do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's your choice. Break the glass. And I love this scene because there was no hesitation
Yeah.
with Pinocchio. Once they said, break the glass and then you'll be mortal, he immediately smashed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. Okay,
Yeah.
he didn't even give the thought of, like, I could have been immortal.
Yeah.
No, I'm a real boy.
He just loves his dad so much that he decides to save him, and he does, but at the cost of his own life.
I hate this scene so much. Like, I don't like open water. I'm not scared of the sea. But I don't like that. Where it's just darkness. Like, you know
yeah.
how, like, the reef just ends?
Yeah.
Hate that shit. And you see, like, Pinocchio swimming down, grabbing Geppetto, swimming upwards, but being dragged by Geppetto's weight.
Yeah.
It's like sinking. I was like, that shit gave me so much anxiety. I was like, I know he's wood, but this shit's freaking me the fuck out.
Same here, like, as a person who used to be afraid of swimming, I was like, well, this is bringing back memories. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sebastian the monkey are fine, Geppetto's fine, but he sees that Pinocchio's lifeless, and David Bradley's performance when he's like trying to revive Pinocchio is just heartbreaking. You're like, oh my god, is this how the movie's gonna end? With just tears from Geppetto in the audience.
But like with this story, I was like, I really thought this was gonna end. Like, I would have been okay with it. The story could have ended here, and it would have been still an amazing story.
Yeah,
where he wanted a child. This was his second chance. But of course, as life goes, this thing can't die.
Yeah.
Pinocchio can die. This is his last life. If he gets shot, run over, or I don't know, catch on fire, but he will not die of old age. So I thought, this is it.
Yeah.
His last life, he used it well to save his dad. But nope, Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but
In a good way. In a good way.
yeah, because it's touching because the dad finally realizes, like, he's not Carlo, he is my second chance, and I just am realizing that I finally have what I always wanted all these years, and I wasted it. And your heart breaks for him. And then even Sebastian's like, it's not fair. Turns to the spirit, and he's like, he said I could have one wish, and she's like, did you do the job you were supposed to do? He's like, well, not really, but I tried, and that's all anyone can really do in this life. I'm just like, oh no, he's like, I told that to Pinocchio, and he told it right back to me because he's good, and the spirit's like, all right, good enough.
Yeah. So the spirit owed him one more wish, right?
Yeah.
So he wished for Pinocchio to come back because everybody loved Pinocchio. He was a good kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes back, and it was such a sweet scene. And like, through the ups and downs, this movie ends with a down. Like,
Bittersweet, I would say.
I would say bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
Because as we go on, they go back home, they live a life. Geppetto, Sebastian, Pinocchio, and Spazzatura, they all live a happy life. But the thing is, life is short.
Yeah.
And you see Pinocchio just experiencing his dad pass away. And then later on, you see Sebastian dying in the cold, and I'm like, or like he was dead on the windowsill.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Even
And then to bring, like, he was bringing flowers to his father, to his father's grave, and probably also Carlos's grave. And you just see Spazzatura just disappear as well. I was like, what the fuck? So, Pinocchio is just alone now.
well,
God.
Sebastian says he's accepting the world, and that's all we can really do in this life, and that's that. And
Yeah.
you're like, it's a beautiful note to end on. But
Yeah.
God, is this movie a roller coaster ride?
Yeah, it is such a beautiful like note to end on because they gave us an open ending where will Pinocchio die? We don't know. But he ventured as Sebastian said, he ventured the world, and the world welcomed him. So I'm guessing he pretty much lived the best life that he could before his untimely end, thus making him a real boy. He does not turn into flesh and bone, not like in the Disney one.
Yeah.
Stays wooden.
Yeah, and then you see Sebastian in the afterlife, and if you stay through the credits, you hear a song.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, you're like, I kind of expected more, but sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's funny that he was like with the, what was it, the rats?
Yeah.
Or the squirrels that were like carrying caskets into the other world.
yeah.
Or afterlife.
But yeah, that's the end of the movie. And what would you rate this? Really unfamiliar but very unique take on Pinocchio.
I'm giving this one shit. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. This is a really good movie, and if you're a fan of Guillermo del Toro, you will love this. And if you're a fan of stop motion or Pinocchio, like, you will love this. I really suggest don't watch it with your kids, but if you want your kids to watch it, and then again have that 90s moment where, oh my god, I watched this as a kid, I didn't know how fucked up it was, then let them watch it. But everybody performed well, the animation was great. I will say my only gripe here is that Jiminy Cricket, or Sebastian the Cricket, was underutilized, and even though when he was supposed to be a big part of this story. But other than that, the plot was great. The journey was great. The conclusion was great. Yes, bittersweet, but Disney doesn't have the balls to do that.
Yeah.
And I love this movie for it. Thank you, Guillermo del Toro. Please, I would love to see more stop motion from you, or any kind of animated movie.
Yeah. I'll also give us an 8. Like, yeah, Sebastian was underutilized, but aside from that, the animation is beautiful, the characters are beautiful, and it ends on such a beautiful note. And one thing I forgot to say is that usually in a kids movie, when someone's disobedient, it's like the lesson is to obey your parents. But here, in the face of an oppressive regime and fascism, you're like, yeah, it's fine to say no. It really is.
If you know what's right or wrong and where your moral standpoints stand,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay to say no.
Yeah. Even to your parents when their beliefs are wrong, and maybe you can have that conversation like, hey, we need to talk.
Yep.
That part of the movie is like very, very, very adult, and I like, again, maybe when the kid's 20, you're like, you know what, I should show you a movie that I saw that kind of scarred me, but in a good way. But shit. Like this one, like stop motion seems to be like a dying thing, and I hope this revives the genre of stop motion animation, because this one's really good, and it's an art that needs to be done more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Because we had Kubo and Two Strings, Coraline, Elvis.
Yeah. And Kubo was like a hot minute already, so you're like, yeah, it's a rare thing. When it's stop motion, it usually is something special.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our video on Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Please comment down below what's your favorite del Toro movie, whether it be Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim. Be cool in the comments and we'll have a conversation. If you want to see more of us on this platform, being YouTube, please please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon so you can be notified of when we upload next. Facebook to see us react to trailers, stream video games, and about our lives from time to time. We also have a TikTok, Spotify, all under the same name. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. Spotify to hear us on the go. Maybe you are traveling the beautiful Italian countryside and listening to us. Why not? In the British, you can find me at Gandalfus995 on IG and Twitter. How about you?
You can find me at JomGOM_ on Instagram. It is my art account.
And for our Christmas lineup, we're going into a sci-fi series of a beloved franchise, which is, well, this part of the franchise is quite divisive, and Drummer and Hazel have some words, so it should be fun. Yeah, but as for now, that's all the time we have. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, and happy holidays.
Ciao, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah.